and welcome to another episode of a series I like to call How to Stop Losing to the AI. Yes, like I've said on the first show, every one of us has gone through it. I mean, we go through this a lot. And let's just be realistic. If SI wanted to make this AI really hard, we'd have a really hard time because they can, but they haven't done something like that. So when we play this game, we need to understand certain things, and I've covered certain things in the first show, like let's understand the kind of players that we have, and let's understand the reputation that we have as a club. And then finally, we also took a quick look at certain tactics, like how we should be fitting our players into a system. That we shouldn't, just because a tactic works somewhere else doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for us. But the key here is, how do you stop losing to the AI? The first thing, and it's really important for me, because the first thing I like to do is remember that this is an attributes game. This is a numbers game. I mean, there's nothing in the machine that's telling the machine, there's no gremlin in the machine that has a personality and decides he wants to kick your ass. No, it's attributes. So as I have done enough in the game for them to try and give personality to some of these clubs and some of the managers. So sometimes the managers come out, they may be more attacking, they may be more defensive, games will be different. The fact here is, if you go on a winning run, and you've gone on a winning run long enough, teams are going to take notice. Long time ago, we could easily have kept to one tactic and just not done anything about it. But now you have to change, you have to adapt. That's the reality. I mean, that's what happens even in the modern game. Teams that are right at the top, they may go on for weeks and months and years believing nobody can beat them. Then along the way, by the way, comes one bus boy of a team and they knock two past them in quick succession. The next thing you know, they're reeling and going, holy cow, we're down two down. We never thought we'd be two down. And things like this happen in real life too. And sometimes some teams just get a shock. I mean, look at Germany and Brazil, 7-1. Germany at Brazil on a high, Germany comes to their home ground and hammers them 7-1. All of a sudden, things change. These kind of things can happen. So when we go into the game, we need to expect certain things to happen. Now, how do you then stop these things from happening? Can you actually stop them from happening? Well, okay, let's just face it. Some things we can stop, some things you can't stop. There is no way you can stop certain things from happening. Like, for example, you might have a situation in the game and you're thinking to yourself, can I prevent injuries, for example? Yeah, you can wrap your players up in cotton balls, put them put them aside, wait for the season to go on. Maybe, you might be able to some extent. But the thing is, the most important thing here to remember is this. Firstly, get your understand the mentals first, because if you want to stop losing, you got to put players on the pitch who are willing to fight. So this is why determination and work rate are so important. Now, there are gonna be lots of people out there they'll tell you, oh, the most important thing to do is, you should look at their body language. I'm like, dude, body language, who gives a shit about body language? I don't. Real life, do you actually believe in body language? No. In the game as well, body language is a reaction, right? So certain things happen in the game, their body language changes. So it's not because of body language that they are playing badly. Body language is supposed to give you a sign that something is wrong. It's not, this guy is playing a bad game, let's lift his spirit up and maybe he'll play a good game. Nah. Body language is a sign for you that you should do something about something. But what do? This is the key here of being successful in this game. How do you know what's wrong? So then you got other things like, okay, tunnel interviews. My goodness. Okay, let me just put it to you this way. I haven't done a tunnel interview in a damn bloody long time. Okay, most of the time I skip through tunnel interviews. I don't even read the script. I just hit any button I feel like hitting and just go. And maybe on Champions League day, I want to soak myself in the atmosphere of the day. I might do it because I feel like doing it, because I've been waiting to be in the final. But honestly, I don't give a shit. No, it's tunnel interviews. I mean, if people tell you tunnel interviews are important, then I don't know. Tunnel interviews aren't. Because it's been proven by many people, including myself. I've intentionally gone into matches which are clinch matches, right? I've gone in there and I shat all over my players' morale even before the game starts. I've gone in there and I've condemned them. I've told them they're idiots. No, in the middle of the game, they might be 2-0 down. I call them, I praise them, or they could be 3-0 up, and I go and call them. I basically tell them they're playing like shit or something. I demotivate them. I confuse them. I do all kinds of stupid nonsense just to see what will happen. But frankly speaking, you can leave your tunnel interviews and team talks to your ass, man. Forget about it. Seriously, just go and find somebody with man management or 14. Just, okay, that's it. Put it aside. Forget all about it. Seriously, it's that easy. So if you want to stop losing today and you believe that tunnel interviews play a part, you believe that team talks play a part, then go and get somebody with man management of 15 and just let him man manage for you. Seriously, I had Bobby Mims man manage my Wolverhampton Wanderers team in an experiment a few months back. It's on the channel. Okay, I gave him a tactic. He won the title with Liverpool. I never turned up for one single game. So, and then after he got them promoted rather. He won the title with Liverpool, and I didn't even, I didn't change the squad and do jack shit. Okay, he got Wolverhampton promoted in one season. So now the question now remains, okay, what do you do as a manager then? What should you be looking at? Should you be looking at team talks? Nah, don't worry about it. Give it to your ass, man. Let's focus on, don't get boggled down by too many details, right? The simple thing is, when shit hits the fan, you need to fix it quick, and you cannot just guess, is this the one, is that the one? Let's focus on the big picture here. You have to prioritize what's important and what's not important. The unimportant things, team talks, body language, tunnel interviews, not important. Okay, put them aside. That is on match day. That is irrelevant. Forget all about it. Doesn't change the game. Don't worry about it. Say whatever you want to say. Have a good day. What's more important is preventing your team from getting into a spiral of bad results. Now that's the most important thing. So once you start losing, you want to stop the rut. The way to stop the rut is really simple. What you do is you go into the most important thing is you look at a tactic. It has to have a plan B. We'll get to the plan B very soon. Basically, you need to be able to shore up your system. You need to be playing a system that allows you option A, option B, option C. And I'm telling you something, on the screen right now, we have a 4-3-3. Now, the 4-3-3 is brilliant. It's got so many options. I could change roles and duties in the 4-3-3 to make it more defensive. I could change my mentality, bring it down. I could decide to go completely counter-attacking with the system. That is also possible. I can decide to turn one of my fullbacks into an inverted wingback, bombing up the flank. Yeah, I could overload one side of the pitch by choosing an inverted wingback and releasing the Ramdata on the other opposite end. There are options. So you need to be, first you need to understand your options. Okay, look, and this is what you do in preseason. Okay, now what are the other things that you should do? Okay, now you've decided you've got a system, you got a bad run results. The first thing you do, stop losing. How do you stop losing? Pick the players that have got good determination, work rate, especially in your spine. That's really important. Stick them into your tactic. What's the second thing that you do? The second thing that you do, you have to remember that mentality affects everything in the game. How you choose duties is very important as well. So whenever you set up a tactic, mentality guides their decision-making process and their risk tolerance. Forget shape for a while, okay? Just put shape one side. Just remember that duty drives your mentality. Duty drives your spine. So think about it this way. If you suddenly find yourself in a position where you want to try and shore up your team, think about where your support duties are placed on the pitch. They should be placed in important areas of the pitch where you want to win the ball. And if you want to win the ball in the middle, make sure you have a few support duties there to win the ball. When you change shape, you're actually telling your spine how much you want them to push up. So the higher you push your mentality and shape, the more risk you're telling your team, and the more you're willing to put players into transitions. That's all you need to remember about shape. Shape is such a simple concept. It has not been made into some magical box that we need to understand. It's so simple a concept. If you want to play on lower shape settings, you're playing with lower risk. If you're playing on higher shape settings, you are playing with higher risk. Think about it this way. The more players you have on lower if you put an entire team on highly structured, only the attacking duties are going to go kamikaze on you. When you put an entire team on very fluid and you play on attacking, Nearly your whole team is going to go kamikaze on you. So just that's it. That's all you remember. And who are the players you worried about going kamikaze? The support players. So that's it. It brings you back now. So all you got to do is think of your spine. So whenever you're losing games, look at your spine. Your spine are your support players. Have your support players in each strata of your tactic. In your defense, you should have a few support players. In your midfield, you should have some support players. In your attack, you should have a support player too if you want one of your attackers to come back. So these are basically the areas which you want to focus in immediately in your game when you begin. So here we have certain things that people tend to do. I see a lot of this, like, okay, fine, people start having so many shots. I've seen so many shots in the game that absolutely make no sense to me. Now, okay, let's talk about some of the shots and why these can be dangerous shots, especially if you're in a losing streak. The first thing is pass into space. Now, just because people like me use that shot doesn't mean that you go out, everybody should be using that shot. A shot is not good or bad by itself. A shot is bad when you do not know why you use it. Pass into space tells players to pick passes into open spaces. It is a good shot to have if you have players attacking those spaces. And by attacking those spaces, I mean you should be sitting back, right? You shouldn't be playing with a pushed up defensive line, for example, because if you play with a pushed up defensive line, you're too high up the pitch anyway. So what space are you going to find? If you want to pass into space, then you either are playing on a normal defensive line. Maybe you have attacking players out wide on an attack duty. You've intentionally created a tactic which gives you a chance of finding space. Yeah, see. There are certain tactics that do that. Like, for example, here I have a 4-1-3-2, right? So if I wanted to create space, how would I do it? Okay, fine. First up, there's already space for these two guys to attack. But do I use pass into space for these two guys? Of course not. There's no necessity to. Because honestly, they are going to overlap. They are going to get up down the flank. So the only thing that the look for overlap shot is going to do is give these two guys even higher mentality, which is something I don't want them to do, because it literally means during transitions they start behaving like they're a lot higher up. So when you use certain shots like the look for overlap shot, you want to be very careful. Like, do you really want to use look for overlap when you know they're going to overlap? Face it, if there is nobody on the flanks, they will overlap. So, and when you use the look for overlap shot, you could actually be the reason. It could really be the reason why you're losing matches, because once he goes look for overlap, his mentality is pushed up. When his mentality is pushed up, okay, he is gonna, oh my god, I'm up here. Then the next thing you get, balls played behind him, and if your defenders aren't very good, that's it. Because you're putting even more pressure on the defenders. Certain tactics, they play well in certain scenarios. Like this 4-1-3-2 plays really well in a defensive scenario, but I can also create it as a camping system, which gives me lots of options, because here I'm using that as a wing backs on support. And this is what I mean by your spine. Your spine goes up to attack and comes back to defend. Here I've got a huge spine. Notice I don't have an attacking duty in this tactic at all. Why? Who needs an attacking duty? Because there's a myth flying around somewhere, started by somebody, I don't know who, okay? If I want to attack, I have to have attacking duties. No, if you have to attack, you just have to attack. Your players just have to be in a position to attack. So here we have wingbacks on support. I want to create a tactic which, largely just controls spaces, and my wingback, the moment he gets a chance to, he will overlap. Now, I play pass into space here because intentionally I'm taking a risk with pass into space, because I'm telling my players to play through balls, because I'm attacking high up the pitch. But if I find that, do I get locked into that shot? Of course not. See, this is the thing about tactics. You want to go on a losing streak, understand which are your shots that are the high risk shots. This is an extremely high risk shot. Why? Try through balls is you're hopefully punting the ball in between players or space into specific areas on the pitch. If you give up the ball, you lose possession. It's a quick transition failure. The ball comes back smashing into your face. So that's the first thing you want to avoid. So yes, so you want to avoid really difficult, shots that make no sense or are high risk shots. Another high risk shot is the look for overlap shot. It is a high risk shot. When you play a look for overlap shot, it is high risk. 4-4-2s overlap naturally. 4-1-3-2s, 4-3-1-2s, a lot of tactics overlap naturally. So you don't really need them to overlap. Why? When will a player overlap? When this wingback on support is going to overlap if you take control of midfield. Isn't that kind of cool? Because then you know that the transition is on your side. It's in your favor. Why would you want him to start jumping into midfield if you haven't really controlled midfield yet? Doesn't make any sense. So you should be very careful with the look for overlap shot. It can work under certain circumstances. If you know for a fact that it's a risky shot, you will need to take them, fine. Okay, so now we covered that shout, pass into space, look for overlap. What about some of the other shouts? Okay, this defensive line can be a risky thing to do as well. Now, whenever you push your defensive line up, and especially when you're losing streak, right? I've seen people, I want to get a goal back. So they push the defensive line up. Okay, why? Okay, your defensive line is actually something that you should be observing during the game. The moment you find that your players are running back facing goal, think about dropping a defensive line. If you find that you have, you maybe want to step up the players, get them closer to the opponent's half to close down, and raise the defensive line slightly. Okay, you don't even need to change closing down. If you've seen any of my videos, you've never seen me once use the TI close down. I've never used it. I much prefer selective closing down across the pitch because that controls certain zones a lot more effectively. Now, okay, what are the other high risk shots? Tempo is a surprisingly another, I won't call it high risk, but a risky shot. Why? Okay, tempo increases everything, basically urgency in the game. All right. Now, if your players aren't very good at moving into position or they haven't got very good off the ball, don't mess with tempo. Leave tempo alone. When you use tempo, always understand that you're asking your players to do things a lot faster. They may lose the ball. So when you are on a losing streak, the last thing you want to do is lose the ball. The first thing you want to do is keep it. So these are the things that you want to be looking at. Get stuck in, 50-50 on the shout. I use it selectively, all right? I do use it when I'm playing a game where I'm sitting back. Yeah, sometimes when I'm deep defensive line, I do tell my players to get stuck in. But you need to know that your players can do the job before they take this shot. But it's not a high-risk shot. But the high-risk shots are look for overlap, pass into space. Now, there's also some people, they go into a rut, right? They play defensive, very fluid, or defensive structure, and they go like, man, my boys are not creating chances. I don't know what to do. And then I tell them, have you tried to roam into positions? But my players are going to go all over the place. I go like, no, they don't. They go like, no, roam from positions means they're going to move all over the place. No, they're not. Roam from positions is not a shout that makes your team magically lose position. Okay, it's a shout that tells your players to make themselves more available for the ball. So if your team is good off the ball, use the shout. Especially if you find yourself in a tight situation where you need to try and score a goal for the win. Okay, roam from positions can be very handy. Now you're in a position where you need to close out a game. Okay, the first thing you do is understand the situation in the game. And this is why I think it's very important people understand what action zones means. These are action zones, right? So when you go into a game, these are your action zones. What do? You make sure that you understand which zones are you are controlling. Here, okay, Liverpool, we are spending a fair bit of time. We are pretty balanced, but this was a narrow game that we almost lost. Okay, so here, Liverpool control certain portions of the game playing very defensively. Now, in pre-season, I played a game where I was more keen on trying different things out against New York Red Bulls. And here we have an action zone that shows you something else. Here we have a second half where actually the Red Bull had more possession than us. However, Liverpool had possession in the right areas. We didn't care. We didn't worry about defense very much. We were camping in the opponent's half, even though we didn't have possession, but Red Bull couldn't penetrate us. So most of the time I spent in the opposition's half. So this gives you an understanding of where you are on the pitch and what you really need to do. So here in this particular case, I know I don't have to drop my defensive line very much, right? I can keep my defensive line exactly where it is. But what if you end up in a situation? So you really need to know, okay, are you being attacked a lot? Are you spending a lot of time defending? Because the shouts that you use are really contingent upon upon a situation in a game. So there's no like hard and fast rule that says, oh, you're to close down a game, use this shot, use this shot, use this shot, therefore you get this. No, it all depends on the situation. Are you in a clinch match? Is the AI attacking you a lot? Or are you in a game where the AI is not attacking you a lot and you want to close down the game? So both situations can be different. So in one, maybe you're holding on to the lead, and you know because they're attacking you, they're leaving you space behind, you want to play a counter-attacking game, right? So you want to hit them off the break. So how would I close out that game? So in that particular case, maybe I go defensive, structured, roam from positions, retain possession, no pass into space. I might do this. This could be a wild shout. I mean, I don't want to give up possession, all right? But I will retain possession, tell my players to roam position, and I'll play with a normal defensive line rather, no offside trap. And I'll tell my players to move the ball around and get it up. But I will not tell them to work ball into box. Why? Because I might be thinking to myself, this might be too much of a risk, because if I lose the ball, I might be in trouble. Right, but I'm trying to close out the game. I'm not trying to hit them on the break here. But because of the structured mentality, I'll have some players on a higher mentality, so they may have to do things on their own, but I'm not committing everybody to that. Okay, what if I want to do something different? I say, okay, I want everybody to defend. Okay, go there, either go to fluid or go to very fluid. Same thing, same shouts. Slightly different, because now what have I done? I've taken shape. I've taken the whole shape, and I told myself, okay, on structured shape, I don't need all of you coming back, right? All of you, some of you, you stay up. How many is this sum? That's a very good question, right? All right, sum is going to be basically the players involved in the attacking transitions. They may take a longer time to come back. So guys like the Firmino and Mane may take a bit of time to come back, but you can expect this entire group to come back first. And I want to say one other thing. When I've played on these lower mentalities, and this is the reason why determination is very, very important. I played contain very fluid or defensive very fluid many times, and in one season, in one particular save, the guy who always used to come back, one of the first few to come back, was one of my strikers. He'll come all the way back, and in one game, I almost jumped off my seat when I saw him do a sliding tackle at the edge of my penalty box. When I was like, my jaw dropped and I was like shocked. So you need to understand the impact shouts can have in your game, and understand why you use certain shouts, under what circumstances, and why shape is so important. Because closing out a game is different under different kind of circumstances, and this is the reason why I keep telling people, use one tactic. Understand that one tactic. Understand how it plays out, because that one tactic can have a lot of permutations. There's so many different ways of playing it. And I'll give you another. And on the next show, I wanted to actually carry on and talk about the 4132, for example, but I think that's gonna take up a lot of time, and that will be the focus of my next show. So then on the next show, what I'm going to do is how to stop losing to the AI. We're going to start taking a look at a tactic, and then we're going to start thinking about the different ways that tactic can be used for you to close out a game, or how you could change things in a tactic to affect play in a different way. So if you have any questions, if you like this video, please hit the subscribe button below, and if you have any questions, please look me up on Twitter at Bustthenet or addictedtofm.com. That's my website. Once again, I'd like to thank all my patrons for the continued support of this channel. Your generosity is fantastic. You keep these and many other shows going on, and we are going to do more on attacking variations in our coming FM talks. So you guys have a good one. Take care. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.